Hello, Bible readers. You can't take it with you is a commonsensical modern day proverb that turns out has its roots in Psalm 49. It says, "When the rich die, they will carry nothing away. Their wealth will not go down after them." But the other thing you can't take with you is wisdom. And this is what might make you give Psalm 49 a second look. It did for me, because it's not only about you can't take wealth with you. It's also about you can't take your own cleverness with you. Verses 5 to 9 offer this more familiar, at least to me, sense of it gets after people who trust in their wealth to their own dismay, right? But then come verses 10 and 11. When we look at the wise, they die, fool and dolt perish together and leave their wealth to others. Their graves are their homes forever, their dwelling places to all generations, though they named lands their own. So the point is that the same conclusion is drawn from each kind of misplaced trust. Whether you put your trust in your own wealth, like I'm so rich that I somehow will be able to get around death, or whether you put too much trust in your own wisdom, like I'll outthink my way around and through things that I can't possibly control myself. Death is the future of each, because nothing can buy you or help you become clever enough to attain a different future than the one that awaits all of us. This is a remember you are dust and to dust you shall return kind of psalm that is simply telling the truth to all, right? Wealthy, you're dust. Wise, you're dust. And that doesn't mean wealth is always bad or always faithless, or that wisdom always leads people away from God and into themselves. Neither having wealth nor wisdom makes it so that you are just absolutely hellbound or in the opposite direction of God. The point the psalmist is making is, it's what you put your trust in that matters. It's kind of the Jesus proverb in the New Testament saying, where your treasure is, that is where your heart is going to go. Use wisdom to serve your neighbor, and you'll come into greater relationship with God. Put your treasure of wisdom into your neighbor, that's where your heart will go. Use wealth to grow community. Put your treasure of wealth into the community, that's where your heart will go. You'll come into greater relationship with God and God's people. A deeper, more meaningful relationship with God, that we can take with us. Walter Brueggemann believes this psalm, which comes across as a proverb for sure, and it even uses that word at one point, speaks loudly to a consumer-based society like ours, where so many are, as he says, rich in things and poor in the soul. The psalm has a sense for what is a better way. The alternative to death here isn't, it's hard to say this, isn't like an opposite of death. No afterlife is promised or spoken of at all in this psalm. Instead, the opposite of death, which I think the psalmist would agree with me as I use some words here of my own, to say we can experience, and it is possible for us to experience and live in death, capital D, long before we die. So I think for the psalmist, death isn't just something that happens once our bodies no longer breathe. It's also kind of a state that one can live in, trusting one's own wealth or wisdom. So like the opposite of death, capital D, is a relationship with God. Put your trust in God rather than how clever you are or how much money you have. And instead of practicing foolishness that only leads to death, like your body stops breathing, you can, in this life, know life. abundant life. I am one with my God. My God is with us, all of us at all times and in all places.